In real life and movies, we probably see many images of Japanese people bowing and kneeling in many different situations. And do you wonder why Japanese people do that? What is the purpose of doing that? Do they kneel because of habit, or is it a unique cultural feature of their country? Or why do Japanese people like to kneel on the floor instead of sitting on chairs? Let's find out about those things in our story topic today. The Japanese bow is not just a simple gesture of communication, but it has also become one of the most typical features of the national culture, with deep and subtle meanings. The first reason is because Japanese people often feel uncomfortable with physical contact. They like to keep a reasonable distance from the person opposite. Just standing too close to each other can easily make Japanese people feel uncomfortable. All Westerners who have been to Japan say that Japanese people are very bad at shaking hands. Japanese culture places great importance on respecting others, and bowing is one of the ways people in Japan show their respect. Foreigners living in Japan will surely see Japanese people bowing to each other every day, but they do not really understand the meaning and reason for their actions. In Japan, there are not just one but many different types of bowing. Knowing the ways to bow and when to apply them will help us understand exactly this typical cultural feature of the land of the rising sun. There are many reasons why Japanese people bow when starting a conversation with the other person, but the main reason is still to show their respect for them. Interaction and communication in Japan are not only expressed through words but also the way each person expresses their emotions through body language. Bowing, simply put, shows that regardless of your social status, you are lowering yourself and placing yourself in a lower position than the person you are talking to. This humble gesture shows that you respect the person you are talking to and are grateful for their interaction with you. The bowing gesture in communication in Japan sometimes has more value and meaning than words. Although the Japanese bow is very simple, you must learn to be able to create sophistication when performing this movement. The most important thing is that you do not slump your shoulders or hunch your back, but you must try to create a straight posture as if you are showing your best to others. Bowing only uses the upper body, meaning that your lower body will remain still and form a right angle with the ground. The eyes also look down when you bow. The head and body bend at the same time. Men should bow with their arms by their sides, while women bow with their hands in front. There are many different ways to bow to show different respect in communication. The higher the angle of a person's bow, the more respect he or she shows to the other person. A low-angle bow is often used in intimate meetings between friends and family. For example, a deep bow is often used when meeting an elder, or a person of high status, or an experienced, talented person who needs to be respected, such as a teacher, doctor, lawyer, etc., or a light bow. The Japanese do this action every day, similar to how Vietnamese people greet their parents when leaving the house. Chairs are one of many products imported into Japan from abroad. However, most Japanese people, if given the choice, will just choose to sit on the floor. And this is very common no matter where you are. From your home to a luxury hotel or a cheap restaurant, the Japanese habit of sitting on the floor is related to Japanese women. In Japan, when Japanese women sit on the ground with their husbands, their bodies are much lower than their husbands to show respect to their husbands. In addition, Japanese women choose to kneel and sit on one side so that their husbands can serve them better. That is to help their husbands' backs, to relieve fatigue at work. Therefore, Japanese women are used to sitting with their knees together. And over time, more and more Japanese people have gradually formed the habit of sitting with their knees together. Japanese clothing has a long-standing influence on the habit of sitting on the knees of the Japanese. In ancient times, the pants that the Japanese wore were called shinyi. The one-piece type had an open crotch, only reaching the knee. not covering the crotch. To cover their bodies. The Japanese could only kneel and sit to hide their sensitive parts from being exposed. Later, Japan gradually developed. This habit was inherited to this day and considered a civilized way to entertain distinguished guests. Showing the respect of the guests. In Japanese, kneeling means sitting upright, which is a formal and solemn way of sitting. The usual occasions when kneeling is required are traditional Japanese cultural activities such as flower arrangements, tea ceremonies, swordsmanship, or rituals in life such as weddings, funerals, and when toasting before a party, etc. It is said that kneeling is the best position to keep the kimono from wrinkling. When sitting on the floor, you will never wear shoes. And this will help guests avoid accidentally wearing shoes from outside and dirtying the floor. Although wearing shoes inside shops and some restaurants is acceptable, if you wear shoes in a place that is only for sitting on the floor, this will be considered an act of disrespect to the host. Similar to you wearing shoes and stepping on the sofa. In Western houses, the floor is part of the ground. So people wear shoes, sit on chairs, spread carpets, and make beds. Meanwhile, in Japan, the floor is like an extension of the bed, raised, covered with cushions. Therefore, Japanese people often leave their slippers outside the door, sit on the floor in some rooms, especially the bedroom, dining room, tea room, and to this day, most Japanese people do not buy chairs to put in their houses. Japanese houses usually have at least one room built in the washitsu style. This room will be completely devoid of furniture, except for a low table and a few cushions. Some houses simply have this type of room, and no chairs at all. This type of room is also very popular in hotels and restaurants. In Japan, there are a series of words that indicate different ways of sitting for different situations, of which kneeling is considered the most polite. For men, the distance between the two legs will be farther apart, while for women, the two legs will be closer together. When you first do it, you will feel very tired, have sore ankles, and numb feet. However, the Japanese believe that this sitting position affects some acupuncture points on the feet, which is beneficial for health. Therefore, from a young age, Japanese children are taught this sitting position to get used to it. In situations that do not require formality, people can sit in other positions such as crossing their legs, hugging their knees, bending their legs to one side, etc. In addition, according to the Japanese, this position increases blood flow to the stomach, helping to digest food easily, receiving as many vitamins and nutrients as possible. Bending forward to take food, and then returning to the original position is also a way to help you strengthen your abdominal muscles, preventing bloating. Not to mention, kneeling on the floor while eating helps increase the ability to lose weight, because the digestive system secretes a hormone called leptin. It will send a signal to the vagus nerve that you are full, and the proper function of this nerve can prevent you from eating more. This will be liked by many women, because it will help them a lot in losing weight. Finally, the Japanese believe that sitting on the floor while eating and standing up many times a day is one of the simplest ways to prolong life. In fact, not only in Japan but also in Korea, kneeling has become a cultural feature with many different meanings. As a country that highly values etiquette, kneeling is one of the etiquettes of the Korean people. Therefore, it is common to see Koreans kneeling before their elders. Even Korean idols kneeling before their fans on stage, which makes many foreign fans feel confused. And on holidays, Koreans still maintain the traditional custom of kneeling. In Korea, when giving lucky money, you must kneel to pay respect. You must close your hands tightly. Men put the left hand on top. Women put the left hand below, placed above the lower abdomen, and stand up straight. Men raise their hands in front of their chest. Women raise their hands as high as their eyes, looking down at their feet. Men kneel standing. Women kneel sitting. Men bowing to pay respect must touch their head to the ground with their hands, while women only need to bow 45 degrees. After standing up, keep your hands on your lower abdomen, and stand up straight. From the kneeling posture, you can know the understanding of Korean people towards paying respect.